Welcome to The Tech Ranch, live and local here on Super Talk 1270. The latest gadgets, online security, websites and apps, social media, and so much more. How can technology help you? Let's find out. It's time for The Tech Ranch on Super Talk 1270.
I can use some technology helping me right now.
I think we're breaking into Mary Lou's program.
Oh, that's all right.
So we're just taking over. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Tech Ranch. This is your guru of a geek, Marlo Anderson, and sitting in the producer chair is Mr. Larry LeBlanc.
Yes, Jim is, he's out this week.
Yes, he is. He is. So you've been thrown into the spot here trying to figure out the computer program and all that good stuff to run the show.
Yeah, because it's I'm not often on this side of the control booth.
Right,
here.
right.
So, boy, I'm glad you're here because we could use some technology assistance today.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of experience on that side either. I suppose one of these days, you and Jim should probably sit me down, or maybe Scott.
Oh, you don't want that. No,
and then I would know what's going on. So when somebody has to take Jim's place, I could at least have an understanding about what's going on here.
You know, the least you know, the better.
That's true.
Yeah,
that is true.
Because right now, you don't have to worry about all this. You could just sit there.
I concentrate on the show.
Yeah.
Which means I know nothing anyway. So
what are we talking about today?
Wow.
I'm excited. I love this.
That's a good question, actually. Actually, on the big show, we are covering luggage.
Oh.
Yes, luggage.
All right.
I know. You like to travel a lot, right?
So, I do.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Samsung is, no, not Samsung. Some company, I'll check into it in just a second here. Samsonite.
Yes.
I bet, is coming out with some luggage that you'll probably really like. So that's pretty cool.
Okay.
We're going to go over some tech news of the day. Mm-hmm. See, I'm out of sync now, too, since we didn't have the normal start off here. So we
didn't?
I'm a person that's just used to, in the morning I get up and do my thing, and if I get out of that rhythm a little bit, and really on the show I feel the same way.
So what, did we not start it like we normally do?
Well, I got a little bumper music going, so I'm dancing in the studio here. I know that's probably why you didn't play it this morning, because you probably didn't want to watch me dance.
Oh, how's this?
There we go.
You like that?
Now I'm in the groove already.
There you go.
I love it.
It's clearly marked here. It says Marlo's dancing music. And then
How did you miss that?
Then we have Marlo's sashaying music.
Exactly, as I sashay out the studio here, yeah. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about other tech news. And then later, Miss Metaverse will be on to talk about the big announcement from Tesla. I don't know if you've seen that over the last couple of days. They are bringing out what they call the Powerwall. And Elon Musk, who is the founder of Tesla, as well as SpaceX, and formerly of PayPal, of course, and he stated that solar could rule the universe someday. We got this big nuclear reaction going on, millions of miles from here, called the sun, that provides ample power, and was showing that all we would have to take is just, and I forget the square mileage that he was talking about, but he was showing a map of the United States and how much of that we would have to cover with solar cells to actually power the country. And it was just like this little red square right in the middle of the country. And then he talked about the amount of batteries we would need to do that too, because of course you want to capture the sun and then save that energy a little bit later on. And then it was just like this little pixel inside that little red square. So it really is possible to do this. And he's kind of come up with this plan. And so Miss Metaverse, Katie Aquino, and I will be talking about how that could possibly happen in the near future. So, yeah. So, luggage.
Samsonite luggage.
Yes. So I'm going to go right to yeah, you're right. It is Samsonite.
So how is it that luggage fits into the big tech show?
Well, you wouldn't think that luggage would fit into it, but they're putting chips into the luggage.
Oh.
It will check in itself.
Oh, I like that.
So you don't have to do, the typical, you can just drop it off in the front and not have to worry about it after that. And they're working with airports right now to make this happen. So you don't have to stand in line to check in your luggage. You just scan it, like probably similar to, my chair is going down and down and down here, similar to when you check out at the grocery store.
Wow.
Maybe not a barcode type of scenario. They'll have like an RFID reader or something like that, but they'll scan over your luggage, but that would be it.
Yeah, that's amazing. First, I was just flying last weekend.
Okay.
I went home, and I find it amazing how is this my microphone? Okay, I find it amazing. You would think that I would know that, right? I find it amazing how airlines, especially if you have connecting flights, how they get your luggage from the plane that you're on to the next flight. I had a cancellation because of weather. They had some tornadoes in Dallas, and most people just let their luggage go. If your flight got canceled, they called it your luggage was going to be pushed to the next plane. Well, my plane didn't leave until 6:30 the next afternoon.
Okay.
So I wanted my luggage. They weren't really happy to find it, but they did find it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they did find it. And again, it took like an hour, which I expected more because the lovely lady said, "It'll be about 2 hours, sir." And I said, "I'm got nowhere to go."
Right.
But it took like an hour. But it's amazing how, for the most part, they do a fairly good job at getting luggage from one place to another.
And I think it's gotten better as, technology has kind of, helped that process along. But yeah, I mean, there are times, of course, I'm sure you've been in this scenario where you land and your luggage shows up 3 days later. Or if you, like in your scenario, there's a delay, and a lot of times your luggage will arrive ahead of you. I've run into that a lot, where somehow or another they got it on a plane that was over full or whatever, and your luggage goes on without you, and it just sits in the airport there. So
that's fascinating how they do that.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, you'd be surprised if they, at least I'm surprised that they don't have more lost luggage.
Yeah. So with what you're talking about now, it would just your luggage, you just drop it off and it kind of checks itself in?
Yeah. So I'm going to guess, and I'm kind of reading through the article here, that it'll just go on a conveyor belt, and you will be able to program your basically your luggage. So, my best guess is that you're going to have an app or something that will sync to your luggage, and you check in with the airport, and the app will send a signal to your luggage saying, "This is the flight I'm taking," and all this good stuff. And it's ready to go. You just drop your luggage off and put it on a conveyor, and you're done with it.
It's amazing.
That will be very cool when that happens. So,
it's very amazing.
And they've talked about doing some of this stuff with some of the tags that they put on there too. The downside with tags, of course, is that they do get ripped off of luggage occasionally. I've in fact, the last trip I took, my suitcase showed up. I mean, it was totally ripped apart. It got caught in a conveyor belt or something and just shredded it. Yeah. And so if you don't have something embedded into the luggage itself, I'd imagine that would cause some problems. But.
Well, a good lesson for me, because I've never had lost luggage, and I fly fairly often, and I normally throw away. They put the little sticker of your luggage on the back of your ticket. Well, normally I really don't pay much attention to that, but fortunately I had it, and because I had it, they were able to find it, which was a great lesson, because I will always keep that with me on my person from now on.
So go ahead.
And the other thing, just because I've seen a lot of people do this, if you have medication, it's probably best that you carry it on, because a lot of people that had to stay overnight like I did, they needed their medication for the next day.
Right.
And a lot of their medication got checked in.
Yep.
And even one lady said, a lady that worked for the airline said, is this life or death medicine? And I was like, taken back. Well, she didn't tell me that. I overheard that.
Yep.
And at that point, I'm thinking, what difference does it make?
Right.
Because she said, if it's life or death, why don't you have it on your person?
Exactly.
And the guy got fairly irate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just if you have high blood pressure medicine or something like that, you never know if you will get delayed. It's good just to have that.
Just have it with you.
Yeah.
And I don't, I guess I don't take any medication, so I've been fortunate in that realm to this point.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I should. That's right. But I don't know. Do the rules apply for like the 3-ounce bottle and all that stuff with medication? I would imagine they do.
Yeah, so.
I think we're up to our break.
Oh, okay.
I know. Just like that, here we are at the 1:15 already. So
wow.
I know. After the break, everybody, we will continue our conversation as I'm sashaying through the studio. We'll continue our conversation on travel, because I have some questions to ask Mr. Larry LeBlanc. So come on back. Are we on the air?
We are. how much fun we have?
We shouldn't even have, I mean, yeah, we do. What are we on the air for? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Well, anyway, welcome back to the Tech Ranch, everybody.
See how much fun it is when I do this?
Oh, my goodness. I can't even compose myself. I'm laughing so hard. That's just hilarious. We're talking about travel and I wish I could repeat what we were just talking, or at least what I was thinking about as you were talking about this. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, yeah. So we're talking about travel, yeah, and luggage and chips that they're putting in luggage for Samsonite. And I was just going to ask Larry before we went to the break, were you a person that used to use a travel agent?
Oh, very seldom.
Okay.
Yeah, very seldom.
So even back before internet travel became a real possibility,
Right.
How did you book your travel back then? Did you just call the airport or?
Yes.
Okay. Or
Yeah.
airlines or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, do you still do that, or do you book most of your stuff online?
There's about 3 or 4 sites that I compare.
Okay.
And
And bring them up. That'd be great. I want to hear what you use.
like Cheapo Tickets and
Okay.
Cheapo Air,
Okay. Never heard of those.
fairly good.
Do you find that their prices are pretty good, actually?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. And if you have Flex Travel, they will give you an alternate date,
Okay.
which is sometimes $150 cheaper, but you have to fly, on those particular days.
Sure.
So if you have Flex Travel, and Cheapo Air is really good at that. Kayak, I find, gives me some really good prices for American Airlines.
And Kayak actually compares multiple sites, correct?
Right.
And then they bring in the prices from all of them, okay?
Yeah. So the last couple of flights that I booked to go home, I actually booked straight from the American Airlines site because it was so much cheaper on Kayak to do that.
It is interesting how that industry has gotten better. I have found the same thing with hotels. Mm-hmm. Now I use Orbitz quite a bit. Love Orbitz, and I know that Travelocity and all those others too are very, very good. And I suppose I use Orbitz because I got used to them, and they have a loyalty program. Mm-hmm. So and every time I use them, I stay at a hotel, I get a couple bucks back or $5 back or whatever. Plus, I can use my loyalty for the hotel.
Right.
So, and I think a lot of times when you book through like Cheapo Tickets or whatever, a lot of times you can't put your perk stuff in or whatever because it's already a discounted ticket. So
Yeah, a lot of times for hotels, I go through Hotels.com, and
Okay.
for every 10th booking, you get one free.
Right.
Which I like that too.
Sure,
You throw me something free, and I'm all about give me a punch card, and I'm punching.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
So I'll go on to Orbitz, and I'm taking a week-long trip here in just a couple days, and we're taking a road trip, and I sometimes like to get a different car than what we normally drive. So I'm actually renting a car this time to take the trip.
Wow.
And I thought it'd be just kind of fun to do that. So good way to try out a particular brand or whatever if you want to check it out, right? So anyway, so I book and on Orbitz, and then I'll go to the company that I book through on their site just to compare.
Right.
And a lot of the times now, they are actually cheaper on their own site than they are through Orbitz or whatever, and other travel sites as well, because they're actually, Orbitz and whatever take a fee, of course, for their service. And so they've actually finally figured out that if they compete with that themselves, they'll probably make a couple more dollars.
And, that's a very wise thing, because you're absolutely right. I've found the same thing. It's always nice to compare to see if you are saving. And sometimes when you go through these third-party sites, it's sometimes better to go through the host site.
Right, right. The other thing I have found when traveling, we're getting a little off topic here, but that's okay.
It's just about us right now.
That's right. That's exactly right. We're on the air.
Right.
That in itself is a huge accomplishment today. So
If we can do that when Jim's not here, it's really good.
That's right. The thing I've really found about when you're traveling and you haven't booked hotels, and sometimes that's a little risky because sometimes you get into areas where you can't find a room because they're filled up or whatever. But a lot of times that's not the case. And I have been in lines behind people where I've sat out in the parking lot and hopped on like Orbitz and booked last minute hotel. Right. And I'll walk in there, and I remember one time in Rapid City, I booked this unbelievable place for like $60. I think I was telling you about this a couple weeks ago. And I'm standing in line, and the people that were in front of me, were getting what they considered a deal at $150.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was just standing there thinking, oh my goodness, I just paid $60 for this in the parking lot, and they're getting a discounted rate at the hotel for $150. So sometimes those apps really pay off. You know,
funny you mentioned that, because when I got laid over in Dallas last weekend, because it was the delay was because of weather, the airline was under no obligation to give you any type of accommodation,
right?
But they were handing out these hardship vouchers at a hotel that was near the airport, but they didn't have ground transportation to and from. They didn't have a shuttle service. So I got on Hotels.com and was able to find a hotel for the same price on Hotels.com that was closer to the airport that had shuttle service. The only drawback was I was under the landing pattern.
Exactly.
But I was close, and I mean I had to stay there from like 8 p.m. till 6:30 the next evening because that was the only flight into Bismarck, and the hotel let me stay there till like 4 o'clock, which was really nice.
So this is kind of leading into why a person might want a smartphone or smart device over a regular phone. Now a lot of people argue that they can't afford or don't want to pay the extra $30, $40, $50 a month for those services, right? But I have come to appreciate spending the $30, $40, $50 a month for my smartphone because I feel I save hundreds of dollars a month because I have it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like when I'm traveling, I remember one time, again, traveling, the flight that we were on was being canceled because of weather where we were going, and we were in a small airport.
Right.
And I knew about it before everybody in the terminal knew about it.
Right.
So all of a sudden my phone goes off and says, "Hey, your flight's being canceled," and I'm like, I'm in a small terminal here, and I want transportation. So I knew that there was just a couple of places I could book a car. So I just tapped the app, booked a car. And then 2 minutes later, they made the announcement over the intercom that the flight was being canceled. And there was this mad rush. And then I got a hotel at the same time.
Right.
And just like that, I was able to book a car, my hotel, and I just walked up to the car rental place, picked up my keys, and I left.
Mr. Hotshot.
Before
rush.
Before the whole mad rush even happened.
Yeah.
So I look at those things, and I think to myself, for that extra couple dollars a month, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but there's a lot of things that you do with that smart device that actually save you a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of bringing that up.
So with the new Samsonite luggage, if your plane gets delayed, like mine did,
right,
and you have to spend over 18 hours in Dallas, which is not a bad place to spend 18 hours. But with that new Samsonite chip system, would you be able to tell the desk clerk where your luggage is?
Well, yeah, they would know, and
so they would know too.
Right.
Okay.
And you might even with the app that comes with this, and I'm going to, since Samsonite's doing this and they're working with airports, I'm going to guess that if within a year or two, most of the major luggage companies will have this in place.
Right.
So that I expect, and what'll happen is if you get delayed or whatever, you might even be able to make the call right from your app that says, I want to grab, because my flight's been delayed, I want my luggage.
Right.
And they'll be able to go right to it because there's a kind of a beacon in it, RFID, that they can go find it. So
let's say that you don't want to buy new luggage. Would you be able to buy the chip?
That's a good question.
See? Fully good questions up there.
And like what I was talking about before, you don't want to put an outside tag on there because it could get ripped off or something.
Right.
But maybe there's a way you could, stick it on the inside,
right,
so you'd have this little chip or something. That's a very interesting idea, actually. So for those entrepreneurs out there, Larry LeBlanc just came up with a brand new, every week we come up with new ideas on this show.
Yeah.
And occasionally somebody even grabs it and goes with it. So, but yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking.
Yes, you are. So, oh my goodness, we're at, hard to believe, but we're at the half-past break already. So,
oh my.
I know. So after the break, everybody, Miss Metaverse Katie Aquino.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Thank you for the music.
Yeah, I have to use the phone now.
Yes, you do have to use the phone. But yeah, she'll be calling in. We're going to be talking about Tesla's new battery pack that installs on the wall and how you can use solar to probably maybe not even have to pay an electrical bill anymore. So come on back.
All right, we're back. I kind of started without you. I know. And
Are we back on the air?
yes, and all I said is, all right, we're back.
Wow. That was the shortest break we've ever had.
Okay, I think our person is calling.
All right. Well, let's see if you can get her to get on the air here.
Yeah, well, let's place bets on this.
Okay. I see the phone line blinking.
Oh, wait. Maybe that's her.
Then maybe so.
Say hi.
Hello? Oh, I can kind of hear her.
Oh, stand by.
I'm sitting.
Oh, wait, here we go.
Okay.
How's this?
Hello.
Hey!
Oh, this is crazy. This is all working.
This is amazing. So anyway, welcome back to the Tech Ranch, everybody, as we're getting through our kind of technical difficulties. Only because Larry kind of knows what he's doing.
Kinda.
Yeah, and learning. So that's cool. Thanks to everybody who listens to the broadcast across the country and around the world. On the Blueberry Network, on the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. We're on iTunes. We're on the Roku. And, of course, our own app, Radio Pup. I like to plug that a little bit. And in studio, Mr. Larry LeBlanc filling in for Mr. Jim Walsh. And on the phone, Miss Metaverse Katie Aquino.
Hello, Marlo.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing fine. So we're going to get into the good stuff and then the really good stuff after that. But I want to let everybody know that Katie is coming to Bismarck.
Oh, boy.
2 weeks from today.
Yes. Only 2 weeks from now, I'll be doing my keynote at the awesome conference. Very excited.
Yeah. So, she'll be at the Energy Center at Bismarck State College. We have kind of a great event. We have the AUVSI Roadshow descending on Bismarck Mandan May 18th. So if you're into drones, autonomous vehicles, and all the technology that is around that, we have some great tickets. If you go to eventbrite.com, you can get tickets for that day, or if you can go to synacta.com. And I'll post that on the Tech Ranch, everybody. And you can get tickets for the 3-day conference as well, of course, featuring our own Miss Metaverse. So very, very excited to have you come into Bismarck, Katie.
Yes, I'm very excited to be joining you guys, and we'll be broadcasting live as well, too, right?
That all depends.
If Jim can be at 2 places at one time,
then it'll be good, right?
Otherwise, you'll have me on this end, and this is a fine example of what will happen.
Yeah, and we actually have a 2-hour broadcast that day coming live from, as Larry's like, huh? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, remember, you did approve this a few weeks ago. Yes, you did.
It's only Mary Lou Hanna. Come on.
Yeah, that's right. She'll be fine with.
She'll remember this. That's
probably.
She'll remember we did this to her.
And then, of course, I will not be here next week either. I'll be broadcasting from Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'll be calling in and I'll be doing a kind of going through the startup village down there. And with the Kauffman Foundation. So we'll have a lot of cool startups in the technology realm that we'll be covering as well. So it should be a lot of fun, too. So a couple big shows coming up for the Tech Ranch in the next couple of weeks. So, Katie, you and I are going to talk a little bit about energy and the big announcement the last couple of days with Elon Musk. So why don't you take us through what's going on with Tesla?
Yes, super exciting. So we've all been excited about all the announcements that Tesla's been making over the last couple of years. And I think there's a lot of different things converging right now. We're starting to see how different technologies, I can't even talk that. We're going to see how different technologies will be changing the way we're living our everyday lives. And I think that Tesla's really taking the reins and showing us how our future might be a lot different than it is now. And I think that there's been a lot of talk about, shifting away from the grid and going green. And, we've been hearing about this for a long time, and I think Tesla's actually making it happen. And just a couple of days ago, we had the announcement of the new Tesla Powerwall and the Power Packs. 2 very exciting innovations in energy and I think we're going to be seeing new types of ways of us powering our homes, and this is a very exciting thing here. The Powerwall is more important to us in our everyday lives because Powerwalls are going to be they're thin, wall-mounted batteries. They're about 3 feet wide, and they're mounted on the back of your house. And the unit itself weighs about 220 pounds, and it's basically a battery backup for your home. And this is great for many different ways. One, it's going to help people transition to solar and other alternative energies. Having this battery backup would be great. If you already have solar panels and need a battery backup for those days where potentially maybe you have less energy or less sun, and also just in general, this is a huge step towards a big shift away from needing the traditional grids that we rely on now.
So, do you know the details behind the battery pack that they have? I mean, how many kilowatt hours? What does it cost? That type of thing.
Yes. So there's two different sizes of the Powerwall. The Powerwall comes. There's the larger size of the Powerwall is, I believe, it's $3,500, and it produces 10 kilowatts in that unit. And then there's a cheaper version, which is $3,000, and that will produce 7 kilowatt capacity on it.
Right. So to give you an idea here, I have. Did you like that?
I did.
What is this? This is my.
That's your electric bill.
That's right.
Holy cow.
My utility bill. Why are you saying "holy cow"?
Mine's much cheaper than that.
Is it really?
Yeah.
How big a house do you have?
Oh, it's big.
Okay.
It's three bedroom upstairs, downstairs.
Okay.
About 3,200 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're at 38, I guess, but so yeah, I won't get into my detail. And this is the last one here. I mean, one of the things that I have a couple of things that maybe you don't do. I always have my computers on, and I need to start turning them off. And I always fall asleep with the TV on.
Oh.
And
well, that explains that.
I need
then.
to, put the sleep timer on.
I've got dogs. That's all. I have dogs.
But, in the house, so I'm looking at and the reason I brought this is that, and I know this is a slower month because we're kind of in that transition right now between heating and cooling. Mm-hmm. The heat runs a little bit right now overnight, but not a lot. I don't know about your place, but that's kind of where we're at.
Sleep with the windows open.
Yeah, well, the last couple of nights it's been that way. But, earlier in the month, probably don't have the heat on, or maybe it kicks on once a day or something like that to take the chill there. So in the last month, I have used almost 1,500 kilowatt hours. Okay?
Is that good?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know how that averages out, but I'm looking at the Tesla Powerwall, which stores 10 kilowatt hours. Mm-hmm. Okay, so 10 times 30 is 300 kilowatt hours. Like I said, I use 1,500. Now, you take it over the day, and, the average day, if you have a solar array on your house, you wouldn't be tapping into the battery pack. Mm-hmm. You would be producing electricity that would be charging the battery pack plus household stuff. So I would say that, I'm just kind of, if you had a 3 kilowatt an hour solar array, a 10 kilowatt hour battery backup probably isn't enough for me. I would probably need 2 of these. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, and I'm just, you have to all bear with me here a little bit. Okay. So a solar panel array to produce 1 kilowatt hour runs $950. So say $1,000. Mm-hmm. So if you need a 3 kilowatt hour per hour solar panel, you're going to spend about $3,000 on that. Okay. If you need to have 2 of the power walls that Tesla is putting out, you would need about $7,000 for that. So in my case, if I were to invest $10,000 in this, I could probably go off the grid, and I never have to pay an electrical bill again.
That just sounds funny. Go off the grid. Like you're in Alaska or something.
No, I'm just an evil guy that doesn't want to have anybody know where I'm at. So in my case, I'm paying on this bill $115 for my electrical. So that's $1,200 a year. It would take me 8 years to recoup my thing. But the cool thing is about this, and I'm sorry I'm being so long-winded with this, everybody, but the cool thing with this is that when we have power outages or whatever, I still have power. Mm-hmm. And even when I used to have a solar heating in a smaller house that we had about, I think it was 1,300 square feet in that house. And even on cloudy days when it was 20 below outside, we would come home and our house would be like 90 or 100 degrees.
Holy moly.
This thing was
excessive.
It was excessive, actually. This thing would kick on depending on, and if there was sunshine outside, oh my goodness. I mean, we'd come home. We're the only idiots on the street that have our windows open when it's 20 below outside because it was like overly hot in our house. It was amazing how much heat this thing produced. So our heating bills were almost non-existent when we had that thing going. Just amazing.
So this that you're speaking of, will this take the place of the solar panels we see now on homes and houses and buildings?
No, this is the Powerwall. Katie, you explain that since I'm taking over the conversation here. Go ahead and explain that.
Which one? The Powerwall?
The Powerwall, yes.
It's kind of cutting out a little bit. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So, there's a huge difference between the Powerwall and the Power Packs in energy size, but I think that being able to power your house with the Powerwall, basically the goal of Elon Musk is, he wants us to be able to completely go gridless, and that's the goal. And he actually said, and he was quoted by saying, "It sounds crazy, but we want to change the entire energy infrastructure of the world to zero carbon." And I believe him. I really believe that this is going to happen. And people having a Powerwall in your battery, a Powerwall battery in your home, it's going to change a lot because it's happening now. I mean, when we had Superstorm Sandy here in New York, we had no power for 14 days. And that was an awful feeling. And with so much happening, there's no excuse. We're in 2015. I think this is a great idea. I would love to have something like this on my house to make sure that I have a backup. And I think just in general, this is a better incentive for people to perhaps use alternative energy sources and have the confidence that they will have something like this to back up their homes in the event that there is less sun or wind or whatever you use for your alternative energy. And I think that this is going to become very popular, and it'll become more affordable as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. The other thing that he brought up is that he's working on stations. In fact, they're building one in Nevada, a 250 megawatt power supply, just no different than what we have now for power generation using coal or nuclear or natural gas or whatever. It's just a huge facility that's basically solar shingles on the place, and it produces 250 megawatts with these battery backups. So during the day, the grid is being powered by solar. At night, all that energy has been stored into these battery packs and then sent back out. So yes. We're at the break.
Oh, we are.
So start the music, maestro.
I was so engulfed in what you were saying.
But, and why that's important is companies like MDU and other power generation companies could make the transition in the future to having, these mega plants that are producing solar as opposed to using coal and natural gas. So after the break, everybody coming back, we will continue our conversation about the future of energy.
All right, we're moving and grooving. We've got music. We've got phones working.
Are you sure? Katie, are you there?
No, I'm not sure.
I'm here.
Oh, see?
Oh, my goodness.
Unbelievable. Well, welcome back to the Tech Ranch, everybody. In studio, Mr. Larry LeBlanc. Hello. On the phone, Miss Metaverse, Katie Aquino, and we're talking about Tesla's new Powerwall. And I just went through a quick scenario that for about $10,000 using the Powerwall and a solar grid that I could actually move off the grid on our own house. And I don't know if I'm the typical, there's two of us in our house, of course, and, we probably have too big a house for the two of us. I'm sure we could use half the space and probably use half the electricity. I will say I'm probably not the most energy efficient
Who wants
person.
to do that, though?
Yeah. But, I would probably consider for 10 grand, outfitting my house so that I could be off grid. And again, what I really like about this is that when we have these events like Katie was talking about with New York in her area being without power for 14 days, we have those scenarios around here too, especially with ice storms. I mean, we've all been in those scenarios. I think even the station here was off the air for a while. Maybe not this particular one, but some of the sister stations out here a couple of years ago due to an ice storm south of town that took out power and your antenna grid and everything else, So those type of things would greatly be alleviated if we didn't have to rely on our grid so much. So, So anyway, Katie, take over again, please.
Sure. So what we were saying before is that not only are our homes going to be using these types of battery packs to help us shift away from the grid or go completely gridless, but also we're talking about factories, entire factories around the world, and particularly, as you mentioned before, Marlo, Tesla will be building its new Gigafactory, and it will be using these power packs. Now, the power packs are, I believe, 100 kilowatts capacity.
Okay.
And they will be used for these giant industrial type of projects and buildings. And I think that, helping these giant corporations, power their factories using alternative energy and these power packs will be a huge change for our whole environment, just around the globe. It's a lot of the problems aren't just from us and our communities creating garbage or, and having our cars and whatnot, but it's also the companies, manufacturing and creating waste and things like that, or using up the energy. I think this is going to be definitely very helpful. The more help we can get would be the better for the planet.
Well, and I think one of the big things is when you look at maybe some of the third world countries right now that don't have a grid, they don't have the wiring in place. You look at these countries and they totally leapfrogged the telephone industry. I mean, many of us grew up using landlines, and all they had to do in some of these countries is put up cell towers, and they have no infrastructure for phones at all. They are totally dependent on cell phone towers. Well, that same scenario is possible with this technology. I mean, you could have these little mini solar generators outside of a little village or whatever that supplies the whole village. Or again, shingle your house with solar shingles, and that could power 6 or 8 homes. I mean, it's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is amazing, and what we're seeing is we're going to have smart microgrids in communities around the world, and like you're saying, these third world countries or places that perhaps don't have access to energy and also the web are going to become connected and interdependent on each other, but small and powerful. And I think it's going to be a huge change. I really do. I really think that we're moving towards a near future, when we're not going to have to rely on big utility companies and also companies for, as we were mentioning last week about the web and things like that. We're going to be independent. I really see it.
And you think about electricity, and when you think about it, you think about heating and cooling. You think about computers and those type of things. But electricity to a village or a town that's never had electricity before or has intermittent electricity, that's not what this is about. This is about the ability to make water safe to drink, and have proper ways to cook food, so you don't have the people that are dying from diseases that we don't even hear about around here because we just take these things for granted. And that's the kind of life changing things that we're talking about with the ability to have portable power.
Right, exactly. Being able to have portable power means a lot. I mean, it means an entire change to the community and to life. I mean, if you have that, I mean, that's the foundation for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the sun produces so much energy, and that's what we're tapping into here. Is that energy that is going on, millions of miles from us, and doing that. And we're not talking about the end of our typical power generation at this time, but I think this is something that can be utilized in combination with, and actually our power companies, if they made the changeover to these gigafactories that Elon Musk is talking about, instead of building a new gas-powered or coal-powered power plant, invest the money into solar collection and collection of that energy into these battery packs instead. And they still are a utility company that way, and I think that's the route that some of these companies need to go to.
I believe so too. It's about change, and I think that you're correct. I think that we need to start, if we're going to start building new, we need to build better, and that's what we're seeing now. Is we're seeing that there's going to be new opportunities for power companies and people to build better for the future, and the steps have to be taken now, because why wait another 30 years?
Yeah, and you think about we're kind of in it. North Dakota here is a huge energy sector. I mean, we produce a lot of electricity that we ship out of our state. Of course, we produce a lot of oil, a lot of coal. In fact, where do we rank, Larry, as far as coal production goes? We're up there. I mean, we produce a lot of coal in this country.
I would agree with you.
That gets shipped all over the country for the sole purpose of power generation. Yeah. So even the power that we generate here, goes out, but we supply a lot of the country with these things too. But there's a lot of expense to that, and even our own, the power generation facilities that we have around here. They shut down quite often because they have to go through and clean and redo the equipment that's in there or rebuild it or whatever. If some of that money was maybe diverted to the collection of solar and wind and other things too. And there's other things that we're not even getting to here. We're just really concentrating on Elon Musk's, kind of his vision of where we're going. That would really make a lot of sense, I think, and they could start using some of those dollars to move to solar collection as opposed to continuing to improve facilities. And at the same time, by the time that they would have to shut down that facility because it's maybe in disrepair, they would have a brand new facility sitting over here that's now collecting solar instead.
And it's all about leaving a smaller footprint too.
It is, yes, yep. Less carbon emissions, And I'm not a big person when it comes to weather change. I do believe it's going on. Mm-hmm. I just am not a big thing about that it's all mad. It's all because of man that this is going on. I get into we control forest fires and everything else nowadays that we didn't 100 years ago. Right. That put a lot of stuff in there. We haven't been able to figure out a way to plug up volcanoes yet. Mm-hmm. And one single volcano throws so much into the atmosphere that all of manhood has never produced. At one time, a volcano will push all that stuff into the atmosphere.
I never thought of that before.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And you think about forest fires, too. I mean, 100 years ago, these things burned uncontrolled for months. Mm-hmm. And threw all this soot and CO2 or whatever into the atmosphere. There are fires, when you go back and look at history, that would actually, the smoke would actually block the sun for months, and have a dramatic effect on the climate in that area. So that's how I look at that, and so that's just my take on global weather change. But anyway, go ahead and finish up, Katie.
Right. Well, I think that what we're seeing is these small steps, and I think that Tesla's really taking the lead when it comes to changing the way that we just go about our everyday lives. Really, from the way our goods are being manufactured. I believe that these power packs will be allowing companies to work more efficiently, using alternative energies as well, I think would be great. And I think that in our homes, when the Tesla cars first started coming out, everyone's excited about Tesla cars, especially the millennials are very excited about these Tesla cars. I mean, I don't know any fellow millennial friends of mine that don't want a Tesla. And I think that one of the problems was having the electricity, being able to power those cars from home. How do we charge them?
Right.
When will supercharger stations be everywhere?
Yep.
And I think that Tesla taking actually providing these types of battery packs for our homes will not only help us, back up our own energy in our own homes, it also help us, or give us the incentive to perhaps invest in solar panels or wind energy, whatever would be best for your area. And also as well, I think that, be able to charge your homes. But I see in the near future, I could see Tesla homes. Actually whole houses, prefabricated houses, completely connected to the web, completely smart homes made by Tesla. And I think that this is happening now. We're already seeing it start with the cars, then it's going to this. And all this innovation is reminding me of General Motors back in the 1930s.
All right, Katie, we're going to have to cut you off right there. By the way, that was my head hitting the microphone about 15 seconds ago. And all right, everybody, we appreciate you joining the Tech Ranch. You got to cue the music up again, man.
Oh, stand by.
We got to dance our way out of here.
Let's go, DJ.
That's right. All right, there we go. And next week, everybody, we'll be broadcasting live from Kansas City, so join us then.